So the final theory is going to be this theory here, and this is going to be Sternberg's theory. And the advantage of this theory is that it takes you from it describes different types of love, and what it does is it describes different types of love and the factors that play into it to describe all possible relationships. So what's nice about this is this deals with things like um, sex, but it doesn't have to. This deals with things like do you stay relationship satisfaction, but it doesn't have to. So this theory is actually good because it takes the previous two and builds on them to describe love. So let's talk about this thing. So this is called Sternberg's theory of love. This is also called the Sternberg's triangle. And what you have here is 3 points of the triangle. So first is liking. This is like liking love. So all of these words are love. Then we have infatuation, love, and then we have empty love. Those are the points of the triangle. So let's define each. This liking up here means you like to spend time with. You actually genuinely like the person. It's called intimacy. So with intimacy, you like to spend time with the person. You like to do stuff. You like to go on dates. You like to hang out. You like to talk on the phone. You like to do all those types of things, and so that's what liking is. All right, that's what intimacy is. Empty love is another word for commitment. So it's like in a monogamous relationship, you plus the other. All right. So this means you're committed. And then finally, infatuation means passion, or in other words, sex. Now, I want to say here that I'm going to say the word sex a lot in this to describe this, but I don't mean sex explicitly. Like you can have relationships where you don't have sex, but you kiss and you do other sexual things besides sex. So if you are infatuated with someone, you can still wait until marriage or whatever to have like intercourse. But you can do other things like kiss and be passionate. But I'm going to use the word sex because that's often what is thrown around, that term when you're describing this, but it doesn't have to be that. All right. So what's going to happen now is when you link parts of the triangle together, you're linking love pieces. So for example, if you take passionate love plus intimate love or intimacy, you get something called romantic love. So this would be like you like being with the person. That's the intimacy part. You go on dates, you spend time with them. Passion, you're having sex or whatever. But you don't see the word commitment. What that means is that you're going on dates with someone, you like someone, you're having sex with that person, but you're not monogamous. All right. Here, for companionate, this is intimacy plus commitment. So you like going on dates with each other. You're monogamous, so it's only you and this other person, but there's no physical contact. There's no kissing, there's no sex, there's nothing because the word passion's missing. And finally down here, this is the weirdest one to think about. Like you can think of examples for romantic and companionate pretty easily. You can also think of intimacy, so this is like you and your best friend, where you have other best friends. This is like, let's say it's, in my house, it was like my brother and I, where I only had one brother, so it was me and him. But sometimes we didn't like each other, and we certainly weren't having sex, so there you go. And then over here, this is like you just call someone to have sex, and then you leave. All right? Fortuitous love is interesting because it's hard to think of how this would work. This would be like you're having sex with someone, and you're only having sex with that person, but you don't like them. Right? So there's no dates, there's no phone calls, there's nothing. It's just like, hey, do you want to have sex? Okay. And then the next day it's like, hey, do you want to have sex again? Okay. And then you do that for a lot, and it's just like, oh, I'm only having sex with you, me too, but I'm out. And then finally, what Sternberg argued is that the dream is to have all three, and that's what he called consummate love. Consummate love is intimacy plus passion plus commitment. And what's going to happen here is you have all three. And what he argued was that consummate love is like the type of love where you actually say you love somebody. So there's passion, you're having sex. There's liking, you like going out with them, you like being with them, they're fun to be with. And then finally, there's commitment, so you're only with that one person. All right. Now, what's nice about this is this, unlike the other theory, the previous theory with the evolutionary approach, this does handle like homosexual relationships pretty easily, which is always a good thing. when a theory can be that broad that it can describe different types of things. Now, here's what Sternberg did that I really appreciate. What he did is he took this theory and started predicting how important each of these factors are. And so, what a good theory can do is it can take this idea. It can take an idea and use it to predict behavior. Now, one thing about the picture that's in front of you right now is it really can't predict behavior. It just describes what's happening, right? It describes the different types of love and the different types of combinations of variables. And the deal here is that intimacy, passion, and commitment are the three pieces. And if you parse them out and make different combinations, you have different types of love. And what Sternberg said is that let's use those three things. Let's use intimacy, passion, and commitment and see what we can do with that. And so what Sternberg did is he had couples come in and to his lab, and we're talking couples that are just started dating all the way to couples who are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary or whatever. I mean, just a broad range. And what he did is he asked them about their intimacy, their passion, and their commitment. And then what he did is he summarized the results. And so let's go over that. So here we have the three pieces of the triangle. This is intimate love, passionate love, and commitment love. Okay. And then he was figuring out first stability. So is the relationship going to be stable, right? And what he found is that intimacy and commitment needed to be pretty high in order for a relationship to be stable. And please notice that passion needed to be pretty low. All right, so in other words, intimacy and passion were common across stable relationships, but passion or sex was not a consistent variable. And if you think about it, this makes some sense because there are some couples who have sex often. There are some couples who rarely have sex, and you get this in-between type of thing. Like, for example, research has shown that when you first start dating somebody and it's new and it's exciting, that's when you're going to have a lot of the passion, all right? And then over time, if you stay with that same person, over time, the passion starts to kind of give way to other things like intimacy and commitment. This is what Sternberg said, is that for stability, passion's pretty low. But what about the short-term importance? All right, so he said, what's going to make a couple go through, make it past the short-term phase? And it was clear that passion needed to be there, right? However, commitment needed to be low. And this makes a lot of sense. Like if you're dating somebody, right? If you're dating somebody, passion needs to be high. You need to have that physical contact. That's going to be very important. But commitment's not, because you're just trying them out. Like there's no guarantee that you're going to be monogamous after a first date, right? That's what dating's all about. And so it's one of those things where commitment's low, and that makes a lot of sense. What's interesting to me, and this makes perfect sense to me personally, is that intimacy needs to be moderate. So you have to like the person to go out with them, but you're just finding out about the person, right? And so this way, it's important. It's kind of important, but you're getting to know them, so it's not like a deal breaker. If you find out something weird about them, you're not just like, oh, well, that's it, right? And so passion's high, commitment's low. For the long-term importance, intimacy and commitment are the two winners here for sure. For sure. Okay? And then finally, what's common across, so he asked people who, quote-unquote, indicated they were in love with each other, and he said that intimacy is the winner, but look at passion, pretty low. All right? Now, what's nice about this is you can use this to predict different things. Like, for example, let's pretend you were a marriage counselor. All right, and a couple comes in, and let's say they just started dating, and let's say they are showing, let's say they're showing just liking. They just started dating maybe a month ago, and they show just liking love. All right, the question is, are they going to stay together? So so if you're talking about liking love, you know that you are dealing with this column here, and they want to know if they're going to make it in the short term. And if they're only experiencing liking, That means that they have this, check. This is low, so check. They don't need to show that. But look at this. If they're only liking each other and there's no passion, they're probably not going to make it. And so as a marriage counselor, you should probably say, well, you guys need to think about expressing yourself physically or it's not going to work and you guys are just going to be friends. Right? So let's go through another example. Let's say that a couple is coming in, they've been dating for a year and they're going to decide, are we going to get married? Right? So they want to know about the long-term importance. And they said that they are experiencing fatuous love. And so what that means, remember, if you go back a slide, that means they're having sex and they're monogamous. Right? And they want to know, are they going to make it 10 years from now? Well, if they're experiencing fatuous love, that means they have the commitment. Check. That's great. This is moderate, but they're doing it. Right? They're having the passion, so that's good. But fatuous love has no liking. And look how important that is. And so you need to say, you know what? No, you're probably not going to make it. You guys need to get together, go on dates, get to know each other a little bit more before you guys get married. And that's how this plays out. All right? And so if I'm going to ask a question like this on the exam, that's kind of the approach you need to take, is you need to play with the triangle and say, okay, let's say a couple comes in and they're doing this. All right, they're companionate love. That's intimacy and commitment. Are they going to be stable? Okay. Well, intimacy, commitment, sure. Yeah, moderately high. They have a pretty good chance of remaining stable. And that's how to play this game that you guys need to think about when you're studying for this. And that's going to be the end of this unit. We have one more left, and that's going to be prejudice.